Hey folks, the Emmen Team is back once again with our picks for the month of May. It was somewhat a shame, but we had to take a break in the previous month to realign ourselves, and we missed talking about releases like Stellar Blade, Saga Emerald, and Crab Souls. But hey, this is our lineup for May.
Hey, listen!
I'm a big fan of Abzu. When it first came out on Steam, I was hooked. It let me explore this vast, beautiful underwater world full of beautiful creatures in a way that made me fall in love with the ocean. Why is this relevant? When I first saw the trailer for Endless Ocean Luminous, I had the same feeling as when I saw Abzu. This looked like another game where I could simply spend my time underwater exploring and finding new creatures basking in the beauty of the ocean. But this time around, it looks like there are a variety of live service options, like being able to communicate with other players and sharing your forays with other divers, through a range of online features like tagging interesting locations. Although I'm a bit iffy generally when it comes to live service features like these, I am cautiously optimistic that the developers will try to find a middle ground without including in-game purchases for online features. Even though I do not expect it to meet the same expectations as Abzu, I genuinely hope that Endless Ocean Luminous proves to be an interesting gaming experience. Indie titles like these deserve a chance, and with a price tag of $49.99 on the Nintendo eShop, I think it makes sense for players to give this game a chance if Arika delivers in this underwater Abzu-like experience. PC gamers rejoice! The long-awaited Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut finally makes it to PC ports. Since its debut in 2020, Ghost of Tsushima has remained one of the most critically and audience-acclaimed action-adventure games released by Sucker Punch. The game was well received for its compelling story of Jin Sakai and his vigilante efforts to save Tsushima, which I like to think of as the Assassin's Creed in Japan fans had been asking for decades. Of course, there's the breathtaking audio visuals, textures, and environment design that has since become our yardstick of sorts, and fun engaging gameplay with varying styles in both stealth and combat options that really makes you feel like a samurai Batman of sorts. The director's cut adds even more content with additional exploration areas and missions in the main story, as well as the addition of multiplayer with multiple play modes, including an exclusive story mode, survival where teams fight enemy waves, and rivals where team deathmatches can be played using abilities and powers both familiar and exclusive to the modes. As someone who played multiplayer on the original, I can wholeheartedly recommend this, as the multiplayer is a major plus to an already amazing game. As for the PC specs, well, you'd need at minimum an i3-7100 or equivalent, along with an NVIDIA GTX 960 and above equivalent, 8GB RAM and 75 HDD running on 64-bit Windows. As always with PCs, higher than this can only make it better. I think these specs are reasonable enough to play a game that offers thrilling gameplay and combat experience while being an absolute audio-visual treat to the senses. When I look at the list of things I like, Metroidvania games, steampunk pixel art, and the cowboy aesthetic are high on that list. It's for these reasons that I wishlisted Gestalt, Steam, and Cinder the moment I saw its announcement trailer. Just look at this footage. It's got platforming puzzles, it's got action combat, it's got guns, it's got a cool main character, it's got NPCs with dialogue, it's got varied Wild West themed environments. It just looks so cool. I've been looking forward to this game for literal months now, so to know that its release is finally upon us is quite thrilling. This is LA-based developers Metamorphosis Games' first title, and according to their website, it was born from the question of what kind of game they would want to play. I must say that despite being someone on the other side of the world, what you made here is very much what I would want to play too. Us Metroidvania fans have been eating well recently with great new titles both announced and coming out soon. If you're a Metroidvania fan, make sure you keep an eye on this game. You should also wishlist it on Steam to let the developers know that you like what you see. I'm sure they'd really appreciate it. I cannot wait to pick up this game when it launches. The one game a PlayStation player like myself is looking forward to and convinced me to buy Xbox Game Pass is upon us. Senua Saga Hellblade 2. You play as Senua, a peaked warrior who is suffering from severe psychosis. If that caught your interest, check out our feature article where we explore how psychosis is portrayed in the first game. A link is in the description. For the sequel, I'm mainly looking forward to three things. First is, of course, Senua's story. At the end of the previous game, she made peace with her inner demons and now is on a quest of vengeance as she sets out to confront the Viking marauders in Ireland on their home turf. She's gained a lot of confidence now as she now sees her psychological condition not as a curse, but as an ally in battle. I'm curious to see which stuff from Irish mythology will be included in the game and what will happen to Senua. Secondly, I'm looking forward to Melina Jurgen's portrayal as Senua. Her performance was outstanding in the first game. The devs announced they'll be using Unreal Engine 5 this time with the recent tech demo showing its potential. Facial expressions are an important thing in terms of storytelling in this game. The animations look so real here. I'm curious as to how much the UE5 engine will help with the actors' performances. Here's a fun fact for you all. She was the in-house video editor and made to be a stand-in when the devs were learning mocap for the first game. They ultimately chose her for the role, in which she ended up winning Best Performance in multiple award shows in 2017. And finally, I want to see how Ninja Theory improved upon its portrayal of mental health. If you didn't know, the developers consulted mental health professionals and people who suffered from psychosis when they made the first game. Many of the puzzles and even the combat is loosely based on symptoms of psychosis. The game managed to do the one thing that the developers wanted, and that is to experience what it feels to have psychosis, and I want to see how they've improved upon this. Hellblade 2 will be released on the 21st of May, which also coincidentally happens to be the Mental Health Awareness Month. V Rising is another one of those crafting survival sort of games. But here you're a vampire, and it is this unique twist which makes the game so engaging. From the fact you take damage in sunlight, to feeding on blood which gives you unique traits, and even building your castle stronghold. Somehow, despite its chosen genre, which initially I thought was very odd, it fulfills the vampire fantasy extremely well, managing to get 80 hours of my time when it was first released into early access. But now V Rising is finally getting its official release this month, and while there are a host of features we'll get, I can't be more excited for controller support. In addition to getting already implemented features like multiple floors, you're also getting a new area called the Ruins of Mortium, controlled by none other than Dracula and his fearsome legion. You're getting new difficulty settings, new weapons, a ton of customization features, the ability to relocate your castle to other parts of the map. This one is godsend, trust me. And even DLC, including Castlevania content. If you're looking for a game that fulfills all your vampire fantasy highs, then V Rising definitely rises up to the challenge. So, what are you going to play this month? If you want to learn about future releases or want to let us know what you're looking forward to, subscribe and comment below. But before you run off, let's get to the bonus round. Indica is one of those games that's a bit of a mystery to me, in that I have no idea the general direction this game wants to go. It's a bit of a supernatural horror puzzle game of sorts where you play as the nun Indica and her friend the Devil, a disembodied voice that haunts our protagonist for past deeds. With an interesting setup, some very cinematic scenes, and a slew of interesting characters and camera angles, I, for one, am curious to see where developer Oddmeter are going with this. With most RTS games focusing on the faster pace of things, it would be no surprise for many to learn that a game which did the exact opposite on release would not be popular with the RTS crowd even if it was in the same genre. Despite the change in focus, however, the original homeworld survived to become a cult classic, and now, with the release of the third entry, its slower paced, more methodical form of combat might be its strongest suit. Keep in mind, this does not mean that the game is easy on any accounts. If anything, with the addition of larger structures and terrain in space, the developers are hoping your options are even more expanded, and that you can relive the coolest moments of a space operation with the controls and improved AI and dialogue given to you. Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door is a remake of what is considered to be the best Paper Mario game on the GameCube. For those unfamiliar, Peach is yet again in distress and Mario is once again on her trail, thanks to a letter requesting help from Peach herself. Our hero's journey this time, however, takes him to Rogueport, where he not only joins together with his usual cast of foes, but even sees us take a look at things from Bowser and Peach's perspective. Use your paper abilities to navigate the world and enter into its unique turn-based theater combat in Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. If one could say Hollow Knight takes a leaf out of Dark Souls, then I think it's fair to say that Nine Souls by Red Candle Games draws some inspiration from Sekiro, with the game's focus on parrying. The main character Yi can parry just about everything, just about everywhere, and retaliate with charms that explode. This is admittedly a small part in this action game, which is beautifully hand-drawn in a fusion of elements from cyberpunk aesthetics and Taoism. In this story, you take control of Ho Yi, who has awakened after an eternity of forced slumber and embarks on a quest for vengeance against the leaders of the now changed world, the Nine Souls. Astor, Blade of Monolith, seems like a callback to the 3D action games of yesteryear. I mean, I can't be the only one who's reminded of Link as our little protagonist here. Astor battles across the trailer. The malevolent creatures in this world called the Hiltsick have started getting more aggressive, and Astor is sort of trying to rectify the situation here. Regardless, if your nostalgia bells are flaring, you might want to pick up Astor for a short 20-hour romp through the world of Gliese, and in the process, find out what happened to the precursors, presumably as humans, who have disappeared from the world, and save it in the process. And with that, here's Mika signing off.